sister newspaper, the Sunday Guardian, has conducted a major agenda-setting interview. Published as a lead yesterday, Sunday Guardian newspaper is an interview with a man who has been caught at the center of a global attempt to defame India. Nikhil Gupta has been accused of plotting to assassinate Sikhs for Justice terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI, arrested Nikhil Gupta from Prague last year, and since then he has been lodged in a jail in the United States of America. In his first interview to any media outlet, Nikhil Gupta has answered the Sunday Guardian's questions through an intermediary from jail last week. Not much is known about him apart from what the US alleges. So who is he? He's answered that he's always been a businessman and has been involved in various small businesses, and stated that he worked in mining, silica, sand, non-ferrous metal import, brass handicrafts and marble exports. He's alleged that he's never been involved in any illegal or unlawful activities. He stated that his profile, income tax returns and police clearance certificates have been issued and verified by the government of India and will attest to these facts. And he further claims that he is not the person the United States is looking for, and there is actually no case against him, and has called the entire FBI probe against him as politically fabricated. With us on the broadcast is Professor Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, as well as Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goyal, a former diplomat. I'd like to go across to Professor Nalapat first. Sir, the Sunday Guardian, of course, published the interview yesterday, and what Nikhil Gupta has basically said is that his arrest and this FBI probe is politically motivated. He's also brought attention, in fact, to the timing of the arrest that had taken place somewhere around our elections as well. Do you think Nikhil Gupta is being targeted in order to shift attention from the West, clean sheet, to the Khalistanis? We've seen that the terrorist Gurpatwant Pannun is a citizen of Canada and the United States as well, but they're not taking action against him despite his repeated threats against India, his threats of blowing up planes, stadiums, our parliament as well.
Look, I'd like to say it's a total disgrace that the FBI is, arrested Nikhil Gupta and frankly is protecting a known terrorist, a declared terrorist, a terrorist who daily issues threats against India and who facilitates the carrying it out. It is an utter disgrace, and one day there will be an investigation of the FBI, I can tell you. It will be unavoidable. And whoever the bad apples in the FBI, and there will not be too many, I can tell you. Overall, it's a very fine organization, very professional, very hardworking, very straightforward. But clearly, the Sino-Wahhabi lobby has got to a few of them. And they are responsible for this totally outrageous miscarriage of justice. First, allowing Gurpatwant Singh Pannun free rein, as Trudeau has done. And secondly, quite likely now probably engaged in coercion and various acts which will resemble torture to try and get him to deny the interview that he gave. The interview was conducted in an impeccable manner. It was 100% his point of view. And I can tell you, one of the things the FBI may do is to restrict access further to Nikhil Gupta, put him under further isolation. That is further evidence of torture. And one day I can tell you, these criminal actions will come in the public view. Meanwhile, this entire episode has cast a shadow on India-US ties. It has cast a shadow on the sincerity of the Biden administration to have good relations with India. And it has therefore played into the hands of China. And of course, not to mention Pakistan, to think that the elements in the FBI, rogue elements, are probably on the directions of individuals in very key positions in the Biden administration, who are well known to have a soft corner based on their past record, email, etc., with elements of Sino-Wahhabi lobby. It is a disgusting thing to see, and someone who has really, frankly, admired the United States of America, someone who admires the United States people, and the people are not responsible for this. Some elements in the government and officials who are corrupted are responsible for this. And I think, frankly, a reckoning will come. Nikhil Gupta is innocent. He has been framed, and he has been framed as part of a political plot by the Sino-Wahhabi lobby elements in the US to try and change the election results. And I would like to point out, they came within a whisker of succeeding. The goal was 220 seats for BJP. BJP got 240, just 20 more. 20 more stood between BJP and, frankly, oblivion. So this is the situation, that this a very strong effort was made by the Sino-Wahhabi lobby to carry out the 220 project. Some of us have been aware of this project for quite some time. We have pointed it out. Rahul Gandhi pointed it out publicly that BJP will get only 220 seats. How did he say 220? Why not 200? Why not 210? Why 220? 220 is the exact number that the Sino-Wahhabi lobby was. I'm not saying Rahul Gandhi is part of it, but I can only say that whoever gave him the information is obviously a part of the lobby, because otherwise they would not have given him the precise number. So I'd like to say I am disgusted by the behavior of rogue elements in the FBI and the Biden administration, and the Biden administration needs to introspect. It is destroying relations with India, and I hope Kamala Harris is taking note of this, and I hope she institutes remedial measures. Thank God that Joe Biden is not the U.S. presidential candidate. Of course, it would have been a walkover for Trump. Harris is a far better candidate, a far more decent candidate, who has not been tainted by the Sino-Wahhabi lobby, at least to my reckoning. So let's hope for the best. But I can tell you, there will be a reckoning of this fake arrest, a reckoning of all that has been done to the innocent Nikhil Gupta, allowing whoever is the real perpetrator, Nikhil Gupta, to escape scot-free, possibly because he was an active element in the Sino-Wahhabi lobby's plot. So I'd like to say, I would like to end by saying I am disgusted with the FBI, disgusted with elements in the Biden administration, and President Biden better take remedial action before he leaves office, or if the mess will have to be cleaned up by Kamala Harris if she comes, or by Donald Trump if he comes. Thank you.
All right, sir. I'd like to take across some points that were put forth by Professor Nalapat to Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goyal, who's also with us on the broadcast. Sir, good morning. Thank you for patiently waiting and listening to Professor Nalapat. He's, of course, spoken that Nikhil Gupta's arrest has cast a shadow on the India-US ties, which have been seeing a momentum over the last few years, and it has played into China's hands. It's played into the Sino-Wahhabi lobby's hands as well. We know that the US is not, it's not the first time that they have targeted some country that is in fact close to them as far and cooperates with them and is considered as one of its allies. They've also in 2015, as was revealed by WikiLeaks, they were spying on their own allies, whether it's Japan, Brazil, Israel or Germany for that matter. Now, do you think Nikhil Gupta is an example of the deep state's proxy war against India?
Thank you very much. I really don't know, after listening to what Professor Nalpat said and your remarks, I really don't know if I can add very much to whatever has been said so far. Very briefly and very briefly, Navia, the fact is that what happens to Nikhil Gupta will be a small ripple in the overall sea of India-USA relations. I think India-USA relations are far, far bigger and beyond the events that take place in the like what we're talking about. But we need to understand one or two things here. Number one, the USA, when rather than taking care of the issue of Pannun, who is a known terrorist who has issued threats against India, who has used all kinds of mechanisms to create problem for India, if the USA does not take action against Pannun, rather than accusing India of conspiring to eliminate Pannun through various means, it means only one thing, that they want to continue to keep leverages to keep India under pressure. And I think every country does it. The USA is doing it. We know about it. And I think ultimately we have to know how to play the diplomatic game without giving in to these kind of what you call unfair, unreasonable, but they will continue to happen. Number one. Number two. The point about Nikhil Gupta accusations he has made about change in the government, election results, I really don't want to comment on that, because like when we are watching the elections in the USA, and we have our own ideas as to who will better serve Indian interest, and we try and see whether he will come or she will come, etc., etc. Every country also looks at the election results in India. For them, it is important to see who becomes the prime minister, because they will be able to then carry on the agenda. And therefore, whether influence election results or not, but watching and trying to see that they have somebody in power who will have a friendly impact on the relations is a very, very common thing, really, I would say. It happens. But whether they succeed or not is entirely a different matter. I think our election process is fairly independent and well-oiled, and is not going to be influenced in this manner by outside impact. Thank you.
Indeed, sir, and a quick follow-up to that. You've spoken about how the United States of America is not probing Khalistani terrorist Gurpatwant Pannun. He is a citizen of the United States as well. He's issued several threats against India, particularly threatening to bomb our flights, our stadiums, our parliament. Meanwhile, we've run a sustained campaign on NewsX in order to reopen the Kanishka bombing fires that had taken place in 1985. Almost 3 of the 4 had been acquitted. 1 still roams free in Canada. So do you think US should instead focus their energies on probing the Khalistani terror that they are fermenting on their soil, rather than pointing fingers to us? Because if they don't, it's very likely that Hillary Clinton's statement that she'd made in Pakistan all those years back regarding snakes in their backyard will come back to bite them.
Again, very briefly, I agree with you completely that they should help in investigation of the attempts being made by Khalistani elements, both from Canada and the USA. They should, because ultimately, if they succeed in destabilizing India, there will be an impact on the relations with the USA, and the USA does need to take a long-term view of what we need to do in terms of strengthening these relations. But the point is, will they or will they not? My sense is that they will keep this sword hanging over India to ensure that India does listen to the American suggestions and the American policy, what shall I say, policy requirements, dictates, if I can say it.
All right,
Yes.
so with that, I would like to thank you for taking our time and speaking to us this morning. I'd also like to thank Professor Nalapat for joining us and presenting his perspective as well.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.